The interesting thing that is really clear in these labor fights is so much of it, more than you would think, is really a function of public perception. I mean, through the years, I know, like, I remember when we had a subway strike in this city, and subway workers really took it. I mean, it was a very difficult situation because it was at a time, like, I mean, people just don't know this, but like 10 years ago, there is, relative to now, 15 years ago, relative to now, there was just not a lot of like broad-based sympathy for striking workers. The writers' strike of 2008, even within the context of the Writers Guild, there was not a lot of like solidarity and unity. And that has changed, and it is changing people's decisions, and it has a cascading effect. The other day, Drew Barrymore had announced that she was going to restart her show. This after her, over the summer, not attending an MTV event because she didn't want to cross a picket line and be perceived as promoting stuff when actors weren't going to do it. She announced that she was going to start her show. She got a lot of blowback. And she announced, was it Friday, that she was actually going to stay out and not resume her show. Bill Maher was convinced, was like, I'm not going back. Like, this thing has gone on long enough. And as of today at 12 p.m. exactly, looks like a scheduled tweet. Yeah, I was going to say.
Definitely.
Bill Maher writes, my decision to return to work was made when it seemed nothing was happening and there was no end in sight to the strike. Now, let's be clear. He said he was doing this. Can we get his original tweet? Because if I remember correctly, he was doing this because of all the people who were being hurt.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that he makes millions and millions of dollars a year for a show, which how many episodes they do? They even do like 20 episodes? Not even, right? I mean,
take a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
Take a lot of breaks. I mean, if he wanted to really,
he said, here's oh, you got it.
I literally can't stand this feature.
Real time is coming back. Unfortunately, sans writing or writers are writing. Now, somebody made the point back in the day. It's too bad he didn't have his writers working on this because real time is coming back, unfortunately. Sans writing or writers are writing. Anyways, it has been 5 months and it's time to bring people back to work. So it's been 5 months. Bring them back to work. The writers have important issues. I sympathize, blah, blah, blah. They hope they're addressed to their satisfaction. But they are not the only people with issues, problems, and concerns. Despite some assistance from me, he's got to put that in, much of the staff is struggling mightily. It sounds like your assistance was not enough. We were hopeful this would come to an end after Labor Day. So his deadline was Labor Day. That was September 4th.
How poetic on Labor Day.
But that has come and gone, and there still seems to be nothing happening. I love my writers. I'm one of them, but I'll not prepared to lose an entire year. Okay. And see so many of the below-the-line people
That's what he's
much.
He just hates that.
And he was not going to have any writing, supposedly. And now, come back, he says, that he's changed his mind. Not because he got so much pushback, not because he began to understand that anybody who goes on that show now is also a scab. This is the thing that he didn't understand. Because this guy is so out of touch and is literally has a pipeline from his farts into his nose.
Yeah.
That he didn't realize, like, we're not going to be able to get any guests. That's what he didn't realize. Like, who is going to go on his show? Only right-wingers.
You're also forcing the audience members to be in a difficult position of backing this show. I mean, like, Drew Barrymore had that issue when there were two people in the audience wearing, WGA pins that got kicked out.
Yep. And so he's now going to pretend like, oh, wait a second. it's not because I realize like this is going to be impossible to do right now, because of all the pressure my guests would feel. Like who, even on the nominal left, could you get to go on that show?
Not that he's that interested in that either, but like, in that first statement, how many times do you think he said the word, I? I mean, like, seriously, this guy's so self-involved. And it's unbelievable. But even he, like, Bill Maher, who's on this kind of not so slow, but obvious trajectory towards being like a right-wing reactionary and is basically there at this point, even he feels the heat here.
Now that both sides have agreed to go back to the negotiating table, I'm going to delay the return of real time for now and hope they can finally get this done.
Oh, well, we're waiting with bated breath.
There's the both sides negotiating table thing, which is a classic, like, this is just both of them. Just come on, guys, play nice together.
And you know what? I hope people, give him encouragement for this decision, because it is what we want him to do. And so take this as encouragement. Good for you for realizing that you were crossing a picket line and that it wasn't going to work out well for you.
Yeah.
You're smart. And
so funny.
I hope you stay smart, because it's going to be interesting to see. Like he could have written, I didn't realize how important it was to these people or other people in the
What
Senate.
Drew Barrymore
but
did.
he will not concede that his political barometer, folks, is broken at the very least on this issue.
Or that he associates infinitely more with his role as executive producer of Real Time than in any solidarity with his writing staff, which he identified himself as one of.
One of
at
you.
that point.
Okay.
Oh, I'm one of you, but I'm gonna completely cross the picket line.
Well, I'm sure he also relates to his being talent on that show too, because he getting paid
for all of his talk about and his whining about how you can't say anything anymore. I mean, comedy is dying. He has no like appreciation for the comedians, the comic writers that work on his program. I am a little sad though that we won't get to see a little bit more freewheeling Maher, him actually coming to the forefront with some of his material, because that would have been entertaining in the way of
he had cut out all of the comedy bits and was going to make it all just about his
rants.
No,
that's what Club Random's for, buddy.
It was he was just going to make it about like having the panel and doing that, and probably have his buddy on the side, a couple of buddies, right on the side. Under the table. There's no doubt in my mind he would have set up that situation, but he figured out, like, wait a second, I'm not going to be able to get a full complement of guests because other people don't want to be a scab.
Yeah, and I saw other WGA people pointing this out on Twitter and stuff. Like, when they say we're returning without writers, like, is nothing going to be written down on that program? You're just freewheeling the whole thing, because that is still crossing the picket line, even if it's not this traditional, like, writer's room format as things had been previously. There is still work being done and, like, ink being put to paper, and that in and of itself is crossing the picket line.
That actually brings back the last strike too, because I remember Conan came back, and I'm curious, like, is that just because we've gone farther in terms of solidarity that's not even allowed anymore?
I definitely think so.
That's good.
I definitely think so. International Socialist has a good point. Sam Maher probably had Russell Brand booked and is looking for a get out. Yeah, you probably had him booked to, like, you're on every week.
Yeah.